Hello, everyone. Welcome to Molehill Mountain, episode 358. Andrew here. I bought Like a Dragon Infinite Wealth. The Like a Dragon or Yakuza games are one of my favorite series, and though I am loath to pay $60 for a video game, let alone the $70 I paid for Like a Dragon Infinite Wealth, I did because I really wanted to play it. My birthday's next week, so I took the next week off of work, and I figured, since I'm not working, it'd be a really good time to play the game. Other justifications I had was also it's my birthday, so I can treat myself. I used my cashback bonus reward money to help subsidize the cost. I used a $10 gift card I got from some survey I took. I forgot for whom, my insurance company or something like that, to help subsidize the cost. But yeah, I did it. I paid 70 gall-dern dollars. Jared's currently playing it, and in the ocean. Yeah, I have logged almost 11 and a half hours in the game in the last 26 hours. The game arrived. I used my sister has Amazon Prime, so I bought it using my sister's Amazon account to make sure that it would actually get here on release day, and it showed up about noon 30 on Friday. But I was working, so I went ahead and installed it, which didn't take too much time, although apparently the 1.5 gigs that install needed 7 gigs of space. I don't know. I tried installing it. It says you need 6 point some gigs additional free space, so I had to go delete some stuff. And then it installed, and the install was only like 1.5 gigs. I'm like, huh. Yeah, Chicago says you really wanted to pay it if you paid the $70. Yeah. There are very few games I would pay over $50 for, unless there's unless I'm buying it for someone else or buying it for the charity event or something like that. But for me personally, rarely will I ever pay more than $50 for a game, unless it comes with like a giant plastic controller like Guitar Hero. I probably spent $80 on that at some point. I think Donkey Konga cost $60 because it was like a $40 game and a $20 plastic bongo peripheral. I never bought it, but Steel Battalion was like $200, and it came with that humongous 3-piece plastic drivey controller thing. Shame the game wasn't that good because the controller was really cool. Snake! Hello. War Thunder, huh? But, the Yakuza games, or Like a Dragon games, particularly the way I play them, are games that last me well over 100 hours. So, that takes the sting out of it a bit, right? If I'm logging 130 to 170 hours in a game like the Like a Dragon games or Monster Hunter, isn't that worth an extra $10 or $20 on top of what you usually pay? Well, no, I'm still cheap and stubborn, but I paid it anyway because I just really wanted to play it. So, Chicago, $59.99, fine, I'll pay, only because it's for the children. Although I do use Patreon funds to pay for a lot of the extra life stuff. So, oh, speaking of which, I should probably do a what I spent my Patreon money video on. I think the one I did for 2022 I didn't get around to doing until like September of 2023. Sean Hockenberry, that's a name I haven't seen in a while. Hello. Yes, I have logged a little over 11 hours into Infinite Wealth in the last day. Yes, I did go to bed last night at 2 a.m., but I did go to bed and I slept. I have eaten all meals. I did work out. So I'm not just sitting in front of the TV the entire day doing nothing but playing the game. I am actually, breathing and cleaning myself and eating and stuff. So I'm being marginally reasonable about it. Am I excited for Monster Hunter Wilds? I'm excited for a new Monster Hunter game. We don't really know anything about Wilds specifically, other than it's a new Monster Hunter game, and that I find exciting. But broadly, yes, yes. Monster Hunter Wilds will likely, unless something else changes in the next year, will likely be the game that gets me to buy a PS5. The reason I don't have a PS5, I'm playing Infinite Wealth on my PS4, is because every game that I want to play is also available on the PS4. There's no game I really want to play that is only available on the PS5. That's why I never bothered getting one. But Wilds is, at least for now, unless something changed recently, only on PS5 and Xbox One. So if I want to play the new Monster Hunter, which I almost certainly will, I'll have to get a current gen system. So, Lindy, hello. Oh, I did not realize Sean Hockenberry is Reverend Werewolf. Okay, I remember the name from a long time ago. Okay, so same person. Cool. Jared says, I actually changed the language to English in Honolulu since I thought it was weird that the majority of the people there speak Japanese. There's a surprisingly number of bilingual folks in Honolulu, yeah. Although you do end up speaking to a lot of folks who immigrated from Japan. Like one of the major antagonists, or early antagonists at least, don't, I may have played over 11 hours. I'm still in chapter 3. One of the early antagonists of the game is an old Tojo clan member. So a lot of the circles you're running around in kind of reasonably are bilingual. But yeah, there's a surprising number of people in Honolulu who seem to be just locals who speak Japanese. But play how you like. I'm playing with the Japanese dialogue, so of course I've played all the games, so I'm used to the especially the guy who does Kiryu, and I'm used to the cast. So, our last gen systems called geriatric systems. There were genuine Japanese samurai in Mexico in the 17 and 1800s. Yeah, how about that? I hear you, Chaos. I had to hold off on Like a Dragon for now. Surprise expensive brakes for my car. Yeah, that's the problem with cars. Something breaks, like the brakes, and that's several $100s down the... I mean, you short out spark plugs or something, it's going to be like, all right, yeah, it's $500. Oh, Jesus. So, yeah, I sympathize with that. But Infinite Wealth, as expected, is quite good if you're into that sort of thing. I would, however, like to nitpick, because that's fun. Let's talk about all the bad stuff instead of celebrating what we love. Let's be negative. So, the first thing I noticed And I talked about this last week when I was mildly critical of what I'm assuming is Sega's decision, Sega's monetization decisions, which is take a bunch of stuff in the game and sell it separately, like New Game Plus, or just like random items. Like there are buffs and items you can get in the game that increase your strength or will put you up one level, and they're selling that stuff, which is always a bad look because it always comes off as you don't actually want to play our game. Here, give us some money so you don't actually have to play our game. It's like, dude, I like your game. I find the combat fun. It's really weird that you think you need to offer. Here's a way to bypass the gameplay, you know. So, being that I pre-ordered the game, I got 2 little perks. Well, 3. 2 perks for pre-ordering and 1 for signing up for a newsletter. Signing up for the newsletter gets you a costume for Kasuga. It's a costume that he wears in the game whether you buy it or not. So it's not like they made a fun new costume that you can download and install into the game. No, they're just allowing you to wear one of the outfits that Kasuga already wears early on in the game. I mean, all I had to do was sign up for a newsletter, which I can cancel my subscription to, but still, it's kind of crap. The other 2 things that are pre-order bonuses, which I imagine will be sold separately, is a bunch of garbage, just stat buffs, just level ups and things. Drink this and you will raise your character 1 level, which is always weird because as an RPG gamer, you want to min-max. And it's like, well, I don't want to drink this at the beginning of the game because you just punch 3 dudes in the face and you go up from level 1 to level 2. Raising from level 1 to level 2 only requires 10 experience points. You want to wait till way late in the game, like maybe right before the final boss when you're level 83, and then you drink it just to get 1 more level out of there. And that's no fun. That's just not a fun way to do it. It's stressful, and you don't get to use any of your toys. Also, these are just items that exist in the game. It's not like a special thing. You can find these in, like, there's a couple treasure chests hidden around that you can find keys for to unlock, and occasionally you'll find items like these. So that's not something you download. The other thing is 2 extra job classes. Now that, conceivably, could have been made separately as an extra bonus thing to add to the game. However, when I put in the download code for the Heroes Booster Pack or whatever, or the Heroes Job Pack or whatever the hell it's called, it didn't, at least from the PlayStation home screen's perspective, it didn't actually download anything. I would imagine because it didn't download anything. Those jobs, those special extra perks you got for pre-ordering an expensive game, they were already in the game. All it did was, download a key. It is, you put in the redeem code and it goes, okay, allow him to access the content that's part of the game that he already paid $70 for. There are some other DLCs you can buy, like costumes and stuff. I would imagine they're all in the game somewhere. The extra music tracks, I would imagine they're on the disc. It's not... This was stuff that we thumbed our noses back in the mid-2000s when we were complaining about on-disc DLC. Yeah, that's what this is. It's. I like to think that RGG are the good guys, the development studio, are the good guys, and they really hate doing that crap. And Sega, the publisher, is the bad guy that forces their evil monetization will on my precious beloved RGG studio, but I have no idea. It sucks. It's crap. But the game's still fun. Let's see. The karaoke songs are. I don't. I am unaware of any karaoke songs being locked behind a paywall. New Game Plus is behind a paywall. Sega, why? It's like you want people to just pirate your games. Yeah. Um, Chaos says it's simply an unlock. I'm very highly confident that that is correct. All this content is in the game. It's just being unlocked. This wasn't extra special stuff that was made separately and incorporated it. No, this is just stuff that they partitioned off to sell back to you, which is kind of crap, right? It's kind of like if I ordered a sushi roll and I got paid $11.99 for my sushi roll. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Why are there only 7 pieces? It's usually 8. Oh, for an extra dollar, we'll add an 8th piece. For an extra dollar, you'll add an 8th piece. Isn't that like, for an extra dollar, we'll just give you the ass end of the roll that we cut off and didn't put on your plate. You're not doing anything extra. You made a roll, you chopped it into 8 pieces, you took one end off of the plate. That's what you did. And that makes you a poop head. Oh, it's shit's so irritating. But back to the karaoke games, or the karaoke songs. My understanding, and they got into trouble with this, not like legal trouble or anything. The songs that can be purchased in another pack are not karaoke songs in the sense that you get new songs for the karaoke minigame. They are songs that were used in minigames in previous games, but now they're just songs, tunes to add to your music playlist, is my understanding. And that was the case in the previous game, because the text of the DLC in Yakuza Like a Dragon, Yakuza 7, was additional karaoke songs, but which sounds like new songs for the minigame. That's not what it was. It was just karaoke songs from previous games added to your jukebox. So they're a bit more careful with the wording in this one. They're just songs that you add to the jukebox. But you can still find songs in trash cans, and you can buy them from like the exchange counter and the gambling dens and stuff, which is just the better way to do it. It doesn't piss people off. Like, if you make your gamer, your customer, go, ugh, you done it wrong. Of course, publishers are like, he forked over the extra dollar. I don't care if he goes, ugh. He can go, all he wants, as long as I get that sweet, sweet lucre. That's all we care about. Well, and people will pay for it still. Some will. Yep. And that's why they do it. Some won't pay for it, but some will. And the ones that won't pay for it, I'm not buying a bunch of extra songs that one, aren't incorporated into the minigame, 2, I already heard in previous games, and 3, if I really wanted to hear again, I could just pull them up on YouTube. Sega's like, okay, that's fine. You still bought the game though, and some other people who bought the game actually will buy it. either because they're just super fans and just must have everything, or because they thought they were getting karaoke songs and, ooh, I'm so sorry you misunderstood. Yeah, well, I'll buy them when it's on sale, yeah. It's locked behind a paywall. Boots up uTorrent. Yeah. Yep. Yeah, all the paid downloads, I would not be surprised if all of them are on the disc or part of the digital download. That would not surprise me at all. Can I prove that? No. Am I comfortable saying it? Yeah. So that sucks. But let me talk about something else in the game that sucks, but is not scummy. It's just unfortunate. So we talked a bit about the music playlist, and this is actually a really cool feature because in the previous games, the Like a Dragon games have some great music in them. And in some of the more recent games, I think the two Judgment games and the last Yakuza Like a Dragon game, gave you the ability to collect music and play them jukebox style. The problem with a jukebox is it's typically a very large piece of furniture that's not very portable. So in Like a Dragon, you had to go to the Survive bar to use the jukebox. So if you wanted to listen to any of the cool songs that you've been collecting throughout the game, you had to go to a single location and stand there until you were done listening. Cool. I'm glad you get to collect awesome music and there's ways to listen to it, but not the most ideal implementation, even though it makes sense in world. Now, in the Judgment games, at least one of them, Yagami has a vinyl record player in his office, and you collect vinyl records of songs, of music from the series, and you can play them on your turntable. That's super cool. Except, again, it runs into the same problem where you just have to kind of stand in one location to listen to the music. It's not something you can just listen to as you stroll around Kamurocho or Yokohama or wherever the hell the game happens to take place. But in the current game, Yakuza Like a Dragon Infinite Wealth, all of the music you collect, you can still go stand and listen to the jukebox at the what is it called, the Revolve Bar, or some other places, I'm sure. Oh yeah, the Survive Bar. You can go to the Survive Bar in Yokohama also. But you can also listen to all these songs on a music streaming app. Like you have Spotify on your phone or something, so you can listen to all this music as you walk around Honolulu, which is super cool and super convenient. It doesn't really... I don't know exactly how I found a CD and I jammed it into my phone, but, whatever. It's fine. So good idea. That's lovely. In addition, needs to be like... Lee says... Hey, Lee. Needs to be like Odyssey, where you can listen to it wherever you want. Yeah, in Infinite Wealth, all of the songs that you've collected, you can listen to whenever and wherever you want as you're walking around doing stuff. Now, I think it... I haven't tried it. I would imagine it... I don't think it persists if you, get into a battle or start a side story or something. I imagine it switches to the side story music and the battle music, but still very cool. But they, for this game, they went a step further, and not only can you collect music and listen to it on Spotify or whatever as you walk around Kamurocho, or, Hawaii, but there are also some radio shows that you can listen to, which is super cool. There's a local gaming podcast in Yokohama, and there's a local kind of tourism radio show that plays in Honolulu. So it's kind of like some of the modern day GTA games where you get in a car and you turn on the radio and you can listen to music and shows as you drive around. Cool idea. Problem though, and really unfortunate problem, it does not persist in battle. Thank you, Jared. I didn't think it did, but I hadn't actually tried it. So thank you for for confirming. Problem: the radio shows, like the rest of the songs in your Spotify playlist, are not subtitled. So if you only speak English, then you're not going to get a whole hell of a lot out of the Yokohama show because it's in Japanese and there's no subtitles. Likewise, unless this is exclusive to the Western release, if you only speak Japanese, the Hawaii podcast radio show isn't going to do you much good because it's entirely in English. That's a bummer. It's such a cool idea, and the Hawaii show is actually very cute. And I would assume I actually looked it up, and the Japanese show is actually a real Japanese show, and it's funny because it's introduced. I think it's the first side story, the first side quest that you come across. There's some woman being accosted by ne'er do well, street hoodlums, and you go punch them in the face to make them stop. And she is the host of this radio gaming show, gaming and popular culture. And she is actually a real life person who's a co-host of this actual radio show for this actual radio station in Japan. So that's neat. Unfortunately, I can't listen to it because it's not subtitled. Well, I can listen to it, I just can't understand most of it because it's not subtitled. And it's probably not subtitled because mechanically the game isn't set up to display subtitles for the music playlists, which is where the radio shows are. It's not like the localizers didn't subtitle this. They probably couldn't because there was nothing. There was no subtitle to replace with English. That's a damn shame. I hope Sega and RGG Studio update the game to add in some subtitle tracks. That would be great. If they don't, and they probably won't, but I imagine someone in the next month or two on YouTube will probably write subtitles for those shows so that English audiences can understand what's going on in the Japanese show, and that Japanese audiences can understand the English one, and that everyone else in the world can actually enjoy either of them. Because if you bought the game in Germany and you only speak German, you can't listen to either of them. Just use a translator? I mean, I guess I could get a... I don't know if you can, that phone app that listens to noise and then translates it. These radio shows are like 5-6 minutes long. I don't... And unfortunately, so far as I can tell, there's no pause control on the... so you have to listen to it in one go. So I don't know if that's actually possible, but it's just a shame. My guess is the radio show was something that was thought of and implemented fairly late in the production process, to the point where it's like we don't have the ability to subtitle the songs because we didn't think we needed to do that. Oops. But I mean, at least there's an English show and there is a Japanese show. So as long as you speak one of those languages, you get to hear at least one neat little radio show. If you speak German or Spanish or Italian, you're shit out of luck. um, so that's a damn shame. Um, I was like a yeah, like a Dragon Infinite Wealth. Um, I talked about this, I think last week when I was talking about the demo, how they made a ton of improvements to the actual combat over the previous game. And they did. One thing not related to combat, I was really hoping that they would improve was the Sujimon index. Um, so, if you've played Pokemon, you know that you get a Pokedex, which lists all of the Pokemon so that you can learn fun facts about them. You know, Pikachu may look cute, but he actually uses his sharp claws to pick the bones of children out of his teeth. You know, fun facts like that. So in the last Like a Dragon game, they parodied Pokemon with Sujimon. All of the bad guys, the ne'er-do-wells, the street hoodlums that you run across are called Sujimon, and you just collect them all and index them in a Sujidex, and they all have funny little one-line descriptions, and it's cute. The problem is, in the first game, there was no way to sort them, and there was like 150 or something of them in there. So it's just this really long list, not a single column list. I think it was a grid of maybe eight wide. So you'd have to. So whenever you found a new Sujimon, and it was like Sujimon has been added to your Sujidex, and you wanted to read the fun little description, you had to remember who the Sujimon was, and then just browse through the entire Sujidex until you found them. Were the new entries marked as new or have a special highlight or something? No. And sometimes you'd run into a new area and you'd get into a fight and you'd get 3 new entries. And if you're a bozo like me, you might forget 1 or 2 or 3 of them. It's like, wait, who did I just get? Who's the new one? At the very beginning of the game, it's not too hard because you've only got 5 to 10 people in there. It's like, oh, that's the new one. But as you start filling that sucker up, it gets real difficult. So how did they handle it in this new game? Well, in this new game, there's a lot more Sujimon. I think there's 317 or some really large number. And they actually allow you to filter it by Japan and Hawaii. That's it. It's still just a big, long list that you have to manually scroll through and find the character that you're looking for. Hope you remember what their name was and what they looked like. Because it doesn't say new, it doesn't highlight anything. Nope. That sucks. That sucks. Which is kind of funny because there's the Aloha Links thing. If you've watched any of the marketing, you've probably seen Kiryu not Kiryu, Kasuga wandering around Hawaii going, Aloha, and people, waving back to him. And he makes friends. He's on a little social app that if you wave at the right people, they get entered into your friends list. And like Sujimon, your friends have funny little one-line descriptions about who they are. Luckily, your Aloha Links profile page app thing on your phone shows you the 5 or 6 most recent entries. So you don't have to go to the 150, just scroll through trying to find who the hell you just added. Would have been nice if the Sujidex had something like that. Maybe next game. People aren't complaining about that, but they are Pal World? Well, it's just the Hatsune where there isn't any English dub. Not entirely clear what you mean, Lee. Um, to be clear, these are what I was talking about with the not subtitled. There's incidental dialogue that happens in the world as you walk around. That's not subtitled either. And the reason it's not subtitled is because it's superfluous. It doesn't matter. I would like to know what they were saying, and usually the short phrases I can pick up a chunk of them. You know, of course in Honolulu, a lot of the out in the wild dialogue is in English, so you know, so I understand it. But these radio shows are not just songs; they're talk shows with people talking to each other, having a dialogue, and I don't know what the hell they're saying because it's in Japanese. It's not subtitled, and that's a shame because it's adding a fun little radio show is a cool idea. I'd love to be able to know what the hell they were saying. At least one of the shows is in English, so as I said, English and Japanese speakers, people who speak solely English or solely Japanese, at least get to enjoy one of the shows. Third language, sorry. I mean, it says Lee, I mean, some people hate Paul World because it's copying Pokemon, but they aren't with what you're talking about. Oh! I have no idea. The consternation my understanding is the issue that people take with Paul World is if the developers stole assets to build the parody creatures off of. I am unaware of anyone who is upset at the concept of a parody. I mean, I imagine there's like goofy pearl clutching parents somewhere. It's like, no, cute monster Pokemon looking things shouldn't have guns. I imagine there's some people like that. But from my understanding, the controversy, such that it is that the developers may have, don't know if they did, used model rips as the basis of creating their own models. That's not okay. That would be like, using someone else's code and modifying it for your purposes without purchasing or licensing the code that you're using. That's a no-no. But just the idea of parodying Pokemon, that's fine. In my non-expertise opinion, the character designs that I've seen in Paul World are legally distinct from Pokemon. I mean, they're very clearly a parody of Pokemon, but they, to me, seem distinct enough to be different creatures. So I think that's fine. I think where they may run into trouble is if these creatures are actually built on top of actual assets from Pokemon. Don't know if that's the case. If all of these creatures if all of the Pals, are they called Pals? I have no idea. If all of these creatures were built from scratch, then probably fine. Might not stop them from being sued, but probably fine. Also, if someone was like, oh, that's just too close, why would they not have a problem with the Sujimon? Because it's a parody of the concept, not the actual creatures. Like, there's no Pikachu analog. All of the Sujimon are not cute monsters. They're just weird dudes that run around the street. Like surfers and flashers and bodybuilders. No one would... It's conceivable that someone could look at a PAL monster and think it's a Pokemon. It's conceivable. Which is why it may be too close. Dunno. But no one would ever look at the Sujimon and go, oh, is that a Pokemon? No. So, anyone who's fussing about the the legality of how close the designs are. That's why they would raise a flag at one but not the other. So I have not played Paul World. I don't care to. I think I saw the trailer for it when it first debuted like a year and a half ago. I was like, oh, Pokemon with guns. That's a funny idea. Yeah, do that. Hope the game's good. You know, and it was clearly Pokemon with guns. You know, it was clearly, or rather, it was clearly off-brand Pokemon with guns. Right? Fine idea, as long as it was built without stealing stuff. Fine. Their designs may be too close. I personally think they're distinct enough, but eh. Of course, I haven't really studied them. I've just seen a couple trailers. So, few people screwed around with the models between both series, and they are really, really close. Yeah, I saw someone. I saw someone presenting what they claim, and I don't know who this person is. They could be lying. I have no idea. But I did see someone presenting a wire mesh of, I don't know, Pikachu or whoever from Pokemon, and a wire mesh from Paul. And the assertion is, this is the character mesh from this Pokemon game. This is the mesh from Paul World. And as you can see, their proportions are almost exactly the same. And it's like, okay, that's impossible to do. If this is to be believed, and I don't know who this person is, yeah, then if that's the case, then yeah, it's pretty clear that they ripped models and they built their characters off of existing licensed assets, which that's not how you do that. All right? Like if you're going to do a Mickey Mouse parody, you don't get official artwork, trace Mickey Mouse onto a different piece of paper, and then put a hat on him. That's not how you do that. Like you don't rip the Pokemon or the Pikachu model and then scale up the arms and put balls on the ends of his ears and call it a day, and recolor him and call it a day. That's a no-no. But I have no idea how the game was produced. So I'm also, from what I've read, it's not very fun. So I don't know. But it's certainly got a lot of people's attention at the very least. So, let's see. Back to, they had to have known people were going to tear the game apart to look to see how much was actually copied. Yeah. If there's something duplicitous going on, I don't imagine that, the duplicitous folks are being caught unawares. So I never thought they'd do that. They probably think that either they just genuinely do not understand. It's like, I put a hat on Pikachu, now it's mine, right? That's how fair use works. No. So it's either that or they got their money and they're out. And we've seen that a couple times in the last year where a game is just a scam and they just take the money and run. So I shouldn't laugh. People are getting ripped off. It's terrible, but it's the chutzpah. It's just like you kind of have to laugh at. I mean, it's either that or get very angry at stuff you have no control over, and I try not to do that. But back to Like a Dragon Infinite Wealth, because I have a few more bones to pick with you, game that I've been playing almost 12 hours straight. Well, no, but I've spent half of the last day playing, and I should probably take a break so I don't get like a severe headache or something. Anyway, too many briefcases. There's too many briefcases. Lindy says, yeah, that's not how fair use works. Like, Lindy, so this is a bad example because this is fan art. But let's pretend that the character is a Lindy original. So if I put some tracing paper over this and just traced the entire thing, and then put a hat on her and colored her hair and her outfit a different color, now it's totally mine, and that's perfectly fine, right? No. No. Maybe we should teach this stuff in school, along with the other important things we don't teach, like how to do your car registration. I've told this story before, but I was pulled over once, and it says, your registration's expired. I said, no, it's not. He goes, yeah, it is. We go look at my license plate, and he's like, see? I go, yeah. 2006. It's 2006. It's October 2006. We've got a couple months. Yeah, what are you talking about? And that was when I learned that there was actually a month sticker on the other side of the license plate. Never noticed that before. Whoops. So, yeah. Exile says, I've heard of people getting sued over character model extraction because it's considered an intellectual property. Well, I mean, you can it is a gray area. My thoughts, which don't mean anything, is if you own, like I own, I'm not going to grab it because it's in the PS4, but I bought Infinite Wealth. I own the disc. I can do whatever I want with it. I can play the game on it, or I can snap it in half. It's mine. I can do whatever I want with it. And if I want to dick around with the files on it, I should be able to. If I want to rip models off of the disc, I should be able to do that. Now, there are some things I shouldn't be able to do with those models, like sell them, for example. I agree with that. But, yeah, of course, most publishers today would argue, oh, no, you don't own the game. You own a license to play the game. Which is horseshit. But, yeah. Briefcases. So, there are a bunch of things laying on the ground in these games that you can pick up and stick in your pockets. And if you've ever seen me play a game, I cannot resist shiny things. There's too many shiny things. There are shiny things, and there are briefcases, and there are a ridiculous number of briefcases lying around the ground in Yokohama. Seriously, Yokohama is lousy with briefcases. I think I didn't get to Hawaii for 7 hours because I was too busy every briefcase I saw, I had to go pick up. I mean, there's nothing much. There's a little, oh, it's a peach drink, which increases my defense for one round of battling. Cool. I can only carry 5 at once. So, because I don't want to waste anything, I have to run all the way back to home base and stuff things in my magic chest of where you store the storage chest. Oh god, there's too many. It's really ridiculous. I like collectibles. I like shinies. I like picking things up off the ground and sticking them in my pocket. But oh my god, there are too many briefcases. It's genuinely silly. It actually feels like a bug. Like the game is just generating too many pick up off the groundables. It's really weird. Like seriously, there was like within spinning around 360, I spotted 5 briefcases just laying. Who's laying all these briefcases full of garbage all over Yokohama? Who's doing that? I am a loot goblin, Jared. I am absolutely. Yes, if there's a shiny thing, I have to go pick it up off the ground, even though I don't really need it. Yeah. So let's see. Loading times are a little long in places. There's a couple of graphical glitches, particularly in scene transitions. Like there's a screen warp effect that transitions from the I'm walking around town to now I'm battling people, but you can still see the character models snapping from their walk around town pose to their battle pose. So, Costigo will be standing there like this, and then within one frame, his arm will snap up like this because it hasn't loaded the bat in yet. But you can see little janky things like that. Not really important, just a couple things I noticed like that. I've talked about in the past, when you're in a cutscene, the game is still rendering pedestrians walking around in the background. And if they happen to wander into the cutscene, they will just recognize that they're wandering into the cutscene, and then they'll just slowly turn around and walk the other way. Which is kind of funny. In the reality of the world, it's a little weird because you have this person who's walking down the street, going home, going to the grocery store, walking their dog, who the hell knows, and then suddenly they just forgot my keys, and they turn around and go the other way. It's like everyone is forgetting that I forgot my keys, turns around, walks away. Did I leave the oven on? It turns around and walks away. Did I lock my door? Turns around and walks. In this game, and I noticed this in the demo, they do a better job of pathing the characters around cutscenes, but also putting the cutscenes in locations that are usually off of the main thoroughfare. For example, there's a large median in the middle of a intersection that has a bunch of palm trees on it. So it's a little park in the middle of a roundabout kind of an area, right? Most people don't walk through there, they walk around it on the sidewalk areas. So there's a cutscene that happens in the middle there, so you don't have to worry about characters walking straight through the scene. In the instances where you're standing on the beach and people can walk anywhere, what the characters do in past games, they would just walk around and then they do that slow turn around and walk the other way. Oh shoot, maybe if I move slow they won't notice me, right? In this game they start and then turn around and run away. They're oh, cutscene! Shit! And they run away. And I was at the beach in a cutscene, and literally 4 people, I think it was 2 different couples approaching from slightly different angles, came into the cutscene, started, turned around, ran away. One of them got stuck and just kind of was pushed by someone in front, and was just kind of sliding backwards as the other person ran into him. It's the funniest goddamn thing. There's 4 people running away, pushing another person. It's not a huge deal, but it is something that I think they might consider spending a little time trying to get a better solution for, because it is kind of distracting, as funny as it can be. Half of the first 8 hours is cutscenes. This is an entry of the series that is, at least in the opening hours. Now most of you are not going to take 7 hours to get to Hawaii. That's just how I play. But this is one of the games in the series that has very long cutscenes. I mean, it has the cutscenes of the length where you're just going to be like, okay, and you set the controller down, and you pull up a pillow, and you lay on the couch, and it's just like it's clear I'm not going to be playing for the next half an hour or so I'm just going to get comfy. The story's good. The characters are good so far. I'm enjoying everything, particularly because I have the history and the background with these characters. But yeah, that might be frustrating. For you can skip the cutscenes if you just don't care. But yeah, in the first for my playthrough, the first 8 hours, oh biscuits, there are a lot of cutscenes. Now, it does a nice job of giving you a breather between these lengthy cutscenes, and just letting you run around town and do stuff, and that's great. The problem is there's a lot of places in Yokohama in the early areas of the game that are not open for business yet. Like, you can go to a bunch of shops and like, oh, our fryer broke, we'll be open tomorrow. You can go to the cabaret club and they're like, we're full, sorry, come back later. The batting cages are not open right now. So there's there are a couple things you can do. There is at least one gambling hall that was open. Pro tip from a very bad gamer. Before you head to Hawaii, in northern Yokohama, there's a new gambling area. It's near where the station is. You can play poker there. There is a very good early game baseball bat for Kasuga that you can get for not much. I think it's only like it's less than $500, or well, chips. So if you get 200 chips, which I think probably costs like 20,000 yen or something like that. But if you invest in 200 chips and save scum your way to 500 chips, which even for an unlucky at poker putz like me only took 25 minutes, you can get a really good bat for Kasuga and the 2 soundtrack CDs, which are from Persona 4, if I'm not mistaken. So look for that area. It's a really good early game weapon. Some of the cutscenes are that weird sepia-filtered motion comic presentation that was introduced first, I think, in Yakuza 0. I understand I imagine they do that because of budget. Like, they don't have the time or resources to fully animate every single cutscene because there's a lot of them and they're really long. So they're like, okay, this scene we're just going to do that weird sepia filter motion comic presentation kind of thing. I get it. I don't like it. It just looks ugly. I just don't like the style. Also, something I know, and lastly, something I noticed in the first game. It's weird that when you do side stories, the other characters in your party, I guess, just go piss off for a while. Because they're nowhere, with very few exceptions. I can only think of one exception so far in my playthrough where the other characters in your party are actually visible in a cutscene, and it's the side story that introduces the Sujimon. Both Nanba and Adachi are standing there with you. And it's like, oh, they are here. They didn't just wander off. But every other side story you get into, whoever's following you around, they're just missing whenever you get to the site. It's like, where'd Kiryu go? Where'd Tomizawa go? Where? Guys? I was playing with the Segway. Where'd you go? On the other hand, would it be better if you just kind of saw them standing around impatiently in the background, checking their watches and tapping their foots? You know? I don't know. It's just something that sticks out. It's kind of odd. And justice for Eri. Eri was the probably one of the most. She was the optional character in the previous game that you could add to your party. Every other character gets added to your party via the story. Eri, you had to do an optional thing in the game to add her to your party, and she was awesome. Um, I went over to Ichiban Confections to see if she was there. Her mother, grandmother, whoever the hell that is, she's there. Omelet the chicken is there, but they say that she's jet setting right now, so she's probably not in the game. Although she's jet setting, we could run into her in Hawaii. But it was always funny in the major. The characters in your party show up in the cutscenes, but not the side story cutscenes, if that wasn't clear. But Eri didn't show up in any of the cutscenes. She was always in my party because she's awesome. But I don't know where the hell she was throughout all the story cutscenes because she was never there. And it's a what do you do with a character who may or may not be there, right? And that's the problem with the side stories too. It's like, how do we account for characters? You may hit is Chitose in your party when you do this cutscene? It gets really complicated. So I understand why they don't do it, but it does get a little odd. So overall, though, most of those are just small potatoes, just small little nitpicks that are kind of amusing. And as popular as these games are getting, they are still fairly comparatively low budget games. It's clear that RGG does not have all the time in the world, does not have all the money in the world. It's clear that they're putting the money where they feel they can get the most value out of it. And I respect that. Game's a lot of fun. I'm very much quite enjoying it. I've actually, after 11 hours, finally gotten to a point in the game where I pretty much have my run of Hawaii. Like, I don't have to push the story. I'm not really gated off from much at this point. I'm actually free to go wander around and explore now. So that's nice. Run into a honk yet? If that's what I think it is, if something Dragon Quest would call Puff Puff, no. I think there were like 3 or 4 of them in the previous game, so I would be surprised if they're not in this one somewhere. Although there is I did want to mention one character. I'm guessing she's a real person because they took a lot of time with her visage, so it's probably an actual person. She's the bartender at one of the bars, and she's really funny. She's sweetly foul-mouthed, which she's not. She doesn't use like a really crass tone of voice, but she uses very naughty language in a very high-pitched, sweet, and chipper voice, and that juxtaposition is actually really funny to me. She also has a mad crush on Kiryu, which is that's the second side story cutscene that the other character in your party was actually in the background, where you're introduced to this character whose name is like Kay or something like that. She introduces the Aloha Links thing. Kiryu's actually just kind of leaning against the wall 15 feet down the sidewalk waiting for you to be done, and she just extols his virtues, and every time you hit a milestone for the Aloha Links thing, she sends you a text, and every single text ends with "Tell Kiryu I said hi, bring Kiryu over." It's really funny to me. You may find her supremely annoying, but I find her really funny. So. Great cast of characters in the game so far. Quite enjoying it. Kason? I'm pretty sure it started with a K. I think I'd remember it was Kson. I thought it was just K. Maybe I'm just remembering it wrong. Um, I don't know. She works the. She's not the owner, but she's tending the bar at Resolve. She has purple streaks in her black hair, wearing shorts and a open vest over a bra. Um, but she has the. You can tell that there's characters in the game that are just third string character models that they didn't have a whole hell of a lot of time to work with, and then there's others that are lovingly crafted, like our main cast and this character, who I'm gonna guess is probably based on a real person, like the radio host person for the first sub story, who hosts a radio show I can't understand because it's all in Japanese and not subtitled. She's a VTuber turned model turned VTuber again turned super popular person. Okay. Her lore is wild. She's a fun person, though. She literally worked her ass off to be in a Yakuza game. Oh, well, good for her. It was her dream to be in one, and she's fine. Oh, cool. I'll have to look that up. That is Kei-san? Okay. Maybe they changed her name slightly for the in-game character, but... Oh, one thing I noticed was if you look, the building with the Rose Something Cabaret Club in Yokohama, which is across the street from where Kasuga is currently staying, there's a billboard on the top of the building advertising what is apparently hosts for the Cabaret Club. Those 5 women on the billboard are the 5 hosts that you interact with in Like a Dragon Gaiden, the man who erased his name. I looked at it and said, I know those people. Those are the girls from the Gaiden game. So that was fun. She worked for Hollow Live for a bit. That's some collection of VTuber things, right? I've heard the name. Her VTuber name was Kiryu Coco. Oh, alright. Her lore was that she was married to Kiryu. Okay, well, her character's making a lot more sense now. Her sub-story is... her sub-story where she's introduced and does the Aloha links. It's called something like... Aloha MFer, something like that. And she's just upbeat and chipper, high voice, very sweet, but just drops F-bombs and is completely fine talking about people's anuses. It's a really funny juxtaposition. I dig it. So, she did an interview with Kiryu's voice actor, and she fangirled a lot. Yeah. Alright, so that's it for tonight. I am going to... Guess what I'm going to do as soon as the podcast's done? Can you guess? Can you guess? I'm going to eat dinner. And then I'm going to play more video games. So tomorrow for the Sunday stream, we're not going back to Azure yet. Because I missed 2DP and I have to go back and get it. So I have to play through a few hours of the game, get back up to where we were. So tomorrow we are going to be doing Jared's Patreon request, and we will be playing a game that I'm sure I will be very good at, Elden Ring. I'm sure it will be fine. I'm sure it won't be a completely embarrassing performance. Everything will be fine. I'm sure this is the baby's version of Dark Souls, right? This is the one that takes it easy. Remember, I didn't stop playing Dark Souls because I couldn't hack it. I stopped playing Dark Souls because I wanted to stop playing the game that I was otherwise enjoying. No, seriously, I stopped playing Dark Souls because I actually got mad at it. Dark Souls, much as I genuinely liked that game, bit janky, a lot of jank, and at some point, the jank just got to me, and I said, "Okay, I'm out." And I'll tell you the exact point. There was a weapon or something that I wanted to buy to try. I forget even what it was, but so I was farming souls so that I could get enough souls to buy this new weapon because I wanted to try it out. It was expensive. So I'm farming the souls, and then I took a bad hit and I dropped my souls. I'm like, okay, crap. So I have to be very careful to go retrieve my souls so I don't permanently lose them. And I sneak into a room and I smack a guy in the head, and I get smacked in the face. I'm like, okay. I walk out of the room, around the corner, down the hall. Make sure he's not following me. He's going to stay in the room, right? Okay. Chug the Estus flask, and the son of a bitch poked me through the fucking wall. I was like, I'm done. I'm out. I'm not playing this game anymore. I'm tired of this shit. I lost all my souls. I am done. Screw you, game. I'm not playing. No, he didn't follow me out of the room. He stabbed me through the wall. Oh, that pissed me off. Yeah, that compounded with a bunch of other things. You know what the hardest boss in Dark Souls is? Of the bosses that I encountered? Was the dog holding the sword. Because it's adorable. Like, I mean, it's not like it's not the hardest boss to beat, but it's like, I don't want to slay the adorable giant fluffy puppy. You know, he's too cute. Yeah. So join me tomorrow, Sunday stream. We will ring some elders and probably die lots. So it'll be fine, says Linda. Yeah. Need a swear word counter? Okay. There's less wall in Elden Ring. Good. So no one's gonna be poking me through a damn wall in Elden Ring. All right. That's her catchphrase at the start of every stream. She would start off with "Hello, MFers." Okay. Huh. I'll have to look up an interview with her. She seems fun. All right. That's it for tonight. Elden Ring tomorrow. Hope to see you there. I'm gonna eat some dinner. So take care, everyone. Bye-bye.